This is BaseDaKID, the Hardcore Casual, in association with the Undefeated podcast, proudly sponsored by Disturbing Sports London, and I am here with the world's #1 global promoter, Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how you doing?
You can have more than 2 minutes then.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's the truth. You are the #1.
So, I mean, when you talk about global promoters, obviously England, UK is a shutout. America, I'm doing my thing. I'm trying. I'm battling away with PBC and Top Rank. But globally, yes. On the account that I am the only global promoter in the world, I would have to say I'm definitely #1.
So, with regards to that, you said the UK, I think a lot of people felt last year, maybe you let the UK slip a bit while you were conquering America, and you did very well over there. This year, I feel it's fairly conclusive that you probably put on the majority of the best shows over here, but it's then safe to say that maybe the PBC are pipping you to the post in the US at the moment. So, with that, I mean, how does that motivate you to basically almost get that spot back or try and prove that no, you can't be better than me?
I think, look, I like to win. That's how I was brought up, around sport. Winning's the only thing that matters, and business is a competition, just like sport. So I don't want to get beaten, but you don't get beaten over 6 months, or you don't win over 6 months. You win over consistency over time. And over time, for the last 5 years, 10 years, consistently, we've delivered consistently. And just because 6 months PBC have done Tank Davis and Spence against Crawford, don't mean that over 3 years they've done better than us. But the fact that I'm in the conversation to be #1 US promoter is secretly like quite a nice thing as well. Do you know what I mean? Oh, who's the biggest US promoter? Eddie Hearn, Al Heyman, or Top Rank? Thank you very much. I'm just like, we're in Raynham right now. This is where I'm from. Right? I'm from Essex. My old man's from Dagenham, which is about a mile down the road. And you're talking about whether or not I'm the biggest US promoter and I'm the #1 global promoter. I'm pretty happy with my position. But, I'm competitive. I've got a chip on my shoulder because I want to outperform them. And when I see the PBC having a good year, it makes me go, next week when we start announcing our schedule, I want to get the credit. If we do have the best schedule over the last 6 months, then to go, oh, Eddie Hearn fought back well. Let's see what 2024 brings. So everything's a competition. And that's why I think sport is so important, because it teaches you. That's what for me, business is sport. Same thing, same mentality, winning by any means necessary.
So speaking of being in Raynham at the moment, we're at the Raynham Boxing Gym, Origins Fitness and Health, for Johnny Fisher's media workout. Now, he's facing Harry Armstrong, tough, credible opponent for the Southern Area title. Question I would have is, in Harry's last fight, he did lose to Jamie TKV. So was Jamie never in the run-in to possibly have this opportunity against Johnny instead? What was the thought process?
In all honesty, I think Jamie TKV is a good fighter. Obviously, I've seen him out with AJ. I think it could be one for the one after this. I think when you're going from decent opposition but knocking guys out in around 2 rounds, I think Harry Armstrong is the perfect guy to take you rounds. I watched the fight with Jamie TKV. It was competitive. He was always firing back. He won the fight comfortably. But let's see how Johnny does. You saw last weekend the young fighter called Matty Harris, who couldn't stand up after 5 rounds. Heavyweight, big prospect apparently. And by the way, a really good fighter. Let's see someone take Johnny deep in a fight and see how he goes over the distance. And that's the danger in this fight, because someone like Harry Armstrong, 6'6", comes to win, technically good. He's also got a good engine. You saw that in the TKV fight, and that's Johnny's danger in this fight. But it starts to become interesting now. These last couple of fights, I knew what was going to happen. Johnny's very heavy-handed. Someone gets hit around the side of the head, they don't fancy it. Armstrong will carry on. He'll try and win. But we're ready for that now. And I think he was insistent that the step up come now. We're happy to keep on going these 8-rounders and knocking people out. But he wants the challenge, he's ready for the challenge, and he does it on the biggest stage possible.
Okay, I want to take it back real brief to when obviously Canelo then moved over to PBC. You made a comment at that time where you basically said now that we've got more money in the pot to deliver bigger fights that maybe we couldn't get over the line previously. So, but with the fact that he was always on DAZN pay-per-view, I would have thought that would have been where the bulk of his money comes from, the buyers. Could you just explain how that works?
Because you have to put a guarantee to make these fights. And a lot of the times, the maths works, and sometimes the maths doesn't work. So, and I got, when I said recently, not every Canelo fight delivers for DAZN. It's not a pop at anyone. I'm just saying that, it's a massive risk when you lump up that kind of guarantee for a fight. And Canelo's a superstar. He's delivered amazing numbers. But sometimes the guarantee that you have to put up, you don't see the return for. So that guarantee that's there, it's not necessarily that the normal schedule will improve, although it will. It's that there are additional big fights out there. It might be another pay-per-view fight to replace it. But when we had Canelo, that was the big fight. Do you know what I mean? So now DAZN will be looking at it and saying, right, we need to strengthen our schedule, but we also need to bring some big pay-per-view moments to DAZN to replace Canelo Alvarez. And that's what we're doing now. One hopefully will be announced next week, and another one for November, December we're working on. It just gives us a bit more flexibility and firepower to bring those kind of fights in, rather than say we do Canelo and then we just do the rest of the schedule. So now we can bring in 2 or 3 big moments in the back half of the year.
I just want to ask you a couple questions, a bit different to, I guess, what you're usually asked, right? So, for instance, Anthony Joshua recently had the comments regarding Carl Froch and Rob McCracken. Now, I've listened to the entire interview, and I feel as if the quotes that they were put out were very misleading as to how that conversation went and what he was actually saying. In your opinion, I mean, look, you get clickbaited a lot in a lot of things that you say sometimes, and the lines are always out of context. Do you really think that's sort of the best way to go about things, or should more context be given?
The problem is everybody wants to take someone to an article or to a video to encourage them to watch it. So IFL do it all the time. So does Parsons. I always take a piss out of him. It's like, Hearn raging at Warren. I'm like, fucking, what are you talking about? I never rage at all. I'm just mixed in with stuff. And they never put the compliments in. Do you know what I mean? And like, that's an example where AJ would have said in the interview, I'm sure I haven't seen it, what he did for me was unbelievable. Like, you know, I wouldn't be where I was without Rob McCracken. I just felt that I needed to improve in certain areas. He was probably a little bit pissed off with what Carl Froch said, and I understand that, you know, and they're both quite stubborn, and, you know, but no one can doubt, one, the quality of Rob McCracken, and 2, what he did for AJ's career. He was a trainer, he was a mentor, he was almost like a father figure at times, and AJ has unprecedented respect for that man. He just felt like he needed to move on. I think maybe a couple of comments were taken out of context of what he said about Carl that reflected on Rob, and people love it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and it's sad because people fall out because they don't. A lot of people sometimes, could be Lou DiBella or someone like that, will message me and go, "Well, fucking, you said I've just seen," like, and send me a tweet, and I'll go, "Whoa, just watch the video. Like, the tweet's bollocks. Like, it doesn't even really reflect the interview at all." But it's the world we live in. Clickbait, clout, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, AJ, I think, is also at a stage in his career where it's not that he doesn't care what people think, but he's done all that. Do you know what I mean? Now he's like, it's for me. So fuck what everybody else thinks. I think, you know, I'm not speaking on his behalf, but I kind of get that feeling from him now, that more mean streak to say, I don't care. Like, love me, hate me, whatever. I've done my job for British boxing. I've tried, you know, I've done everything I can. So by now, you've already got your opinion. Now just watch me fight on August 12th. And that's why I like his mindset at the moment.
Joshua White too. What's both guys' methods, their best methods to victory in your opinion?
Well, I think AJ's is probably to make sure he doesn't just fight off emotion like he did last time, to work on and utilise everything that he's been doing with Derek James, to work off the jab, you know, to be spiteful, to be fast, and Dillian will be probably the same as last time. Make him fight off emotion, you know, force him back, you know, trade up with the left hook, make AJ engage in the fight. That's his best chance of victory. And I think if AJ boxes him and breaks him down, Derek James probably thinks that's the route to victory. But also there will be a lot of emotion on fight week, on the night itself, because ultimately careers are on the line. So, you know, it's going to be a thrilling night at the O2.
Very last one from me. Right, so Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. I don't necessarily want to give my thoughts on that because I've already heard yours, and I know that. My opinion, what I want to know is, Anthony Joshua went into fights with Carlos Takam, Alexander Povetkin. People don't necessarily speak English, not that well known, but still sold out stadiums, pay-per-views, everything. Do you think that doing the Ngannou thing rather than someone within the top 15 ranked WBC that maybe people don't know is more of an indictment of the drawing power, or is it something else?
It's the money, you know, like there's a lot more money to fight Francis Ngannou than there is to fight Martin Bakole. Like, I'm just using an example from the top 15. And no one knows who Martin Bakole is, and he's quite good. So why would you even consider, like, I get the business, I understand it. I'm not bothered about him fighting Ngannou for a load of money. I'm bothered about him not fighting Usyk when there was a huge amount of money available and he could be undisputed. Like, we tried for years and years. AJ's whole dream was to be undisputed. But because of mandatories, because of politics, sometimes bad negotiations, he never got there. The frustrating thing about that fight was it was there to make. No mandatories, nothing at all, a shitload of money. But Tyson Fury knows how good Alexander Usyk is. I'm not saying he won't fight him, but if it don't suit him, he won't bother. And now he's looking at it thinking, well, I'm going to make 30 mil or whatever I'm making to fight a bloke that's never ever boxed before. Thank you very much, and on we go. I get it, you know what I mean? But for boxing, I would have liked to have seen Fury against Usyk.
Eddie, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Thank you.